Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The tension inside Genoa City begins to simmer beneath the surface, building towards something far more explosive as shifting alliances and buried truths start clawing their way into the light. At the GCAC, the air feels charged the moment Phyllis Summers corners Kane Ashby, her determination blazing as fiercely as ever. She doesn't come to him as an enemy this time, at least not in her own mind, but as something far more complicated, an opportunity he can't afford to ignore. With calculated confidence, Phyllis presses him for answers about his vengeful intentions, her voice carrying both curiosity and a subtle challenge. She refuses to let him cast her aside as an adversary, instead urging him to reconsider everything he thinks he knows about her loyalty. In her world, enemies can become allies in the blink of an eye, and she makes it clear that Kane might be making a dangerous mistake by underestimating her. The conversation pulses with unresolved tension, hinting at old connections that never truly faded, and possibilities that could change everything if either of them dares to take the risk. Phyllis leans into her argument with unwavering conviction, painting a picture of power, success, and opportunity that she believes only she can offer. She speaks of Summer's conglomerate with unmistakable pride, her voice lifting as she describes the momentum she's built since taking control. In her mind, the company isn't just thriving, it's evolving into something unstoppable, something that proves she was always meant to lead. Then, with a sharp pivot, she contrasts her success with Kane's ongoing struggle to salvage what remains of Arabesque, a reminder that lands with quiet but undeniable force. It's not just a jab, it's an invitation wrapped in brutal honesty, pushing Kane to confront the reality he's been avoiding. Phyllis insists that he needs her now more than ever, that together they could reclaim control and turn the tide in ways he simply cannot manage alone. Beneath her words lingers something more personal, an undercurrent of chemistry and shared history that refuses to stay buried. She even lets the suggestion hang in the air that their partnership could extend beyond business, though she frames it as optional, as if daring him to remember what they once had and what they could be again. But beneath Phyllis's pitch lies another layer of motivation, one fueled by resentment and a thirst for retribution that has yet to be satisfied. The sting of Victor Newman's deception still burns deep, a betrayal that left her feeling used and outmaneuvered in a way she cannot accept. That wound now transforms into a driving force, pushing her toward the possibility of striking back with calculated precision. She offers Kane a chance to join her in that mission, to channel his own frustrations into something far more powerful if he can set aside his pride. It's a dangerous proposal, one that could ignite a chain reaction across Genoa City, and Phyllis knows it. Her confidence suggests she's already imagining the outcome, already seeing the moment when everything falls into place and those who wronged her are forced to face the consequences. Yet, whether Kane will accept her offer remains uncertain, the decision hanging in a fragile balance that could tip at any moment. While ambition and revenge collide at the GCAC, a far more personal storm begins to unfold elsewhere, one that carries the weight of identity, family, and truth. Dr. Stephanie Simmons delivers a revelation that shakes Holden Novak to his core, unraveling a part of his life he never knew was missing. The words land like a thunderclap. Malcolm Winters is his biological father. For a moment, everything Holden believed about himself feels unstable, as if the ground beneath him has shifted without warning. He spent his entire life shaped by the man who raised him, never questioning the foundation of his identity, and now that foundation is cracking open. Stephanie doesn't deliver the news lightly. There's urgency behind her words, a reason that makes the truth impossible to ignore any longer. The revelation isn't just about the past, it's tied to something immediate, something critical that could change Malcolm's future as well. The reality of Malcolm's condition begins to emerge, casting a somber shadow over the emotional upheaval. His struggle with aplastic anemia has driven him to seek every possible medical solution, reaching out for opinions and guidance wherever he can find it. It's no coincidence that Stephanie, a trusted doctor and someone from his past, has become part of that search. Now, Holden finds himself at the center of something far bigger than his own shock. Faced with the possibility that he might be the key to saving a man he never even knew was his father. The request for a bone marrow test carries immense weight, but Holden isn't ready to accept it. Not yet. The emotional whiplash is too severe, the revelation too fresh, and his instinct is to pull back rather than step forward. His hesitation is raw and understandable, a reflection of the overwhelming storm of thoughts and feelings crashing through him all at once. As this deeply personal conflict unfolds, fate seems to weave its threads tighter, drawing paths together in ways no one could have predicted. At Crimson Lights, Malcolm Winters unknowingly arrives at the edge of a life-altering moment, catching only the tail end of the intense confrontation between Stephanie and Holden. He doesn't realize what he's witnessing, doesn't understand that the young man before him is his own son, and that ignorance adds a quiet tension to the scene. There's something almost haunting about the near miss, the truth hovering just out of reach as if waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. When Stephanie finally turns her attention to Malcolm, there's a shift in her demeanor, a sense that another revelation is imminent. She carries the weight of what she knows, preparing to deliver a truth that could redefine everything Malcolm thought he understood about his own life. And as these revelations ripple outward, they set the stage for even more upheaval to come. Lily Winters stands on the brink of discovering that Holden is her biological half-brother, a truth that promises to shake her world in ways she can't yet imagine. The emotional consequences of that connection linger just beyond the horizon, hinting at conflicts, questions, and unexpected bonds that will test everyone involved. In Genoa City, secrets never stay buried for long, and when they rise to the surface, they bring with them a storm of consequences that no one can escape. As alliances are tested and identities are redefined, the stage is set for a cascade of drama that will leave lasting marks on every life it touches. As the weight of these revelations begins to settle, the emotional aftershocks ripple through Genoa City with quiet intensity, building toward confrontations that feel both inevitable and impossible to prepare for. Back at the GCAC, the charged silence between Phyllis Summers and Kane Ashby lingers long after her final words fade, leaving him alone with a decision that could alter the course of everything he's been fighting for. Her offer isn't just about business or revenge, it's about power, about reclaiming control in a world where both of them have been knocked down one too many times. Kane can feel the pull of it, the dangerous allure of joining forces with someone who understands ambition as intimately as he does, but also the risk of trusting a woman who has never played by anyone's rules but her own. The memory of failure hangs heavy over him, especially when it comes to arabesque, and Phyllis's words echo in his mind like a challenge he can't quite ignore. For a fleeting moment, the possibility of rebuilding something, both professionally and personally, flickers in his expression, though whether it's hope or desperation remains unclear. And somewhere beneath it all, there's the undeniable truth that aligning with Phyllis would mean stepping into a storm that could either elevate him or destroy him completely. Across town, the emotional storm surrounding Holden Novak continues to intensify, his sense of identity unraveling in ways he never thought possible. The revelation, delivered by Dr. Stephanie Simmons, refuses to settle into something he can easily process, instead echoing through his thoughts with a disorienting force. Learning that Malcolm Winters is his biological father doesn't just shift his understanding of the past, it reshapes his entire sense of self. Every memory, every belief about where he came from now feels uncertain, as though the life he knew has been quietly rewritten without his consent. Stephanie's urgency only adds to the pressure, making it clear that this truth isn't something he can simply ignore or push aside. The request for him to be tested as a potential bone marrow donor looms over him, transforming the revelation into a responsibility he isn't ready to accept. Torn between anger, confusion, and a reluctant sense of obligation, Holden finds himself standing at a crossroads, unsure which path will define the man he becomes. Meanwhile, fate continues to tighten its grip in the warm, familiar setting of Crimson Lights, where an unknowing Malcolm Winters lingers just steps away from a truth that could change his life forever. There's a quiet irony in the moment, a sense that destiny is unfolding right in front of him while he remains completely unaware of its significance. He senses tension in the air, perhaps even recognizes the emotional weight in Stephanie's expression, but the full reality remains just out of reach. When Stephanie finally turns to him, there's a subtle shift in her presence, as though she's carrying the gravity of two worlds about to collide. The decision to tell him about Holden isn't just about honesty, it's about timing, about choosing the moment when the truth will land with the impact it deserves. And as she prepares to speak, there's an almost cinematic pause, a breath held in anticipation of the shock that's about to follow. Beyond these deeply personal revelations, another wave of emotional upheaval waits just over the horizon, ready to crash into the lives of those connected by blood and history. Lily Winters is unknowingly on the verge of discovering that Holden is her biological half-brother, a truth that promises to redefine her understanding of family in an instant. For Lily, whose life has already been shaped by love, loss, and resilience, this revelation will arrive as both a shock and a challenge, forcing her to confront emotions she never expected to feel. The idea of a brother she never knew existed brings with it a mix of curiosity, disbelief, and the inevitable question of what this means for the future. As these threads begin to intertwine, the emotional stakes grow higher, pulling each character deeper into a web of connections that cannot be undone. In Genoa City, the past is never truly buried. It waits, patient and persistent, until the moment it can rise again and demand to be reckoned with. And as the dust begins to stir from all these shifting truths and dangerous propositions, one thing becomes clear. Nothing will remain the same. Alliances will be tested, loyalties will be questioned, and the lines between love, ambition, and revenge will blur in ways that leave lasting scars. What started as a quiet series of conversations is quickly evolving into something far more explosive, setting the stage for confrontations that will echo across every corner of Genoa City, whether it's the fragile possibility of a renewed alliance between Phyllis and Kane, the life-altering connection between Holden and Malcolm, or the emotional reckoning awaiting Lily. Each story is building toward a moment that cannot be avoided. And when those moments finally arrive, they won't just change lives, they'll redefine them, leaving everyone to face the consequences of truths that can no longer stay hidden. The quiet tension that has been building begins to stretch to its breaking point, as if Genoa City itself is holding its breath, waiting for the moment everything finally collides. Back at the GCAC, the aftermath of Phyllis Summers' bold proposal lingers like a storm cloud that refuses to pass. Kane Ashby remains caught in that space between resistance and temptation, his thoughts circling the same dangerous possibilities she laid before him. He knows exactly what aligning with Phyllis would mean: power, influence, and the chance to strike back, but also chaos, unpredictability, and the risk of losing control entirely. Her confidence, her fire, and the way she refuses to accept defeat begin to chip away at his hesitation, forcing him to confront the uncomfortable truth that she might be right. And yet, trusting her again feels like stepping into a fire he barely survived once before. The silence between them may have ended, but the decision she left behind continues to echo, growing louder with every passing moment. Phyllis, for her part, walks away, not with doubt, but with the quiet satisfaction of someone who knows she's planted a seed that will be impossible to ignore. In her mind, this isn't a question of if Kane will come around, it's when. Her thoughts drift toward Victor Newman, the man whose betrayal still fuels her every move, and the vision of revenge sharpens into something almost tangible. She can already see the pieces falling into place, the strategy unfolding with precision, and Kane positioned exactly where she needs him to be. There's a thrill in the anticipation, a dangerous kind of excitement that reminds her why she thrives in moments like this. And beneath it all, there's that familiar pull toward Kane himself, a connection that refuses to fade no matter how much time or conflict stands between them. For Phyllis, the lines between business, revenge, and desire have never been clearly drawn, and now they blur together more than ever as she prepares for what comes next. Meanwhile, across town, the emotional weight pressing down on Holden Novak begins to shift from shock into something more volatile. The revelation about Malcolm Winters doesn't just sit quietly within him, it stirs something deeper, a storm of unanswered questions and unresolved emotions that demand to be faced. Anger begins to mix with confusion, not just toward the truth itself, but toward the years of silence that kept it hidden from him. He replays every word Dr. Stephanie Simmons spoke, searching for clarity, for some sense of control in a situation that feels completely out of his hands. The idea that he could be the one to save Malcolm's life only adds to the pressure, turning what should be a personal revelation into a moral crossroads. It's no longer just about who he is, it's about what he's willing to do with that truth. And for Holden, that question doesn't come with an easy answer. At Crimson Lights, the atmosphere shifts with a subtle but undeniable weight as Malcolm Winters stands on the edge of a truth that has been hidden from him for far too long. There's a quiet vulnerability in him now, shaped by his ongoing battle with illness, a reminder that time is no longer something he can take for granted. When Dr. Stephanie Simmons finally begins to speak, there's a gravity to her words that immediately captures his attention. The moment stretches, heavy with anticipation, as the past and present begin to collide in a way neither of them can stop. For Malcolm, the revelation of Holden's existence won't just be shocking, it will be transformative, forcing him to reconcile the life he's lived with the one he never knew he had. And in that moment, the possibility of connection, redemption, and perhaps even healing begins to flicker into existence, fragile but undeniable. Just beyond these unfolding truths, Lily Winters moves unknowingly closer to a revelation that will change her world in ways she cannot yet imagine. The idea that Holden is her biological half-brother carries with it a wave of emotions waiting to be unleashed. Shock, disbelief, and the inevitable need to understand how something so significant could have remained hidden for so long. For Lily, whose life has already been shaped by complex family ties and emotional resilience, this discovery will test her in new and unexpected ways. It won't just be about accepting a new piece of her family. It will be about redefining what family means altogether. And as her path begins to intersect with Holden's, the emotional stakes will rise even higher, pulling them both into a story neither of them saw coming. As all these threads begin to weave together, the sense of inevitability grows stronger, like a tide that cannot be held back. The choices being made now, whether it's Kane's potential alliance with Phyllis, Holden's decision about Malcolm, or Stephanie's determination to reveal the truth, are setting the stage for consequences that will ripple far beyond this moment. In Genoa City, nothing exists in isolation, and every decision has a way of circling back in ways no one can predict. The tension, the emotion, the secrets, all of it is building towards something explosive, something that will force each character to confront not only the truth but themselves. And when that moment finally arrives, it won't just change the course of their lives. It will leave a mark that can never be undone, echoing long after the truth has been spoken.